You know, everybody's getting pretty excited about that fiscal cliff negotiation or impasse, however you want to style it. But I want to show you, if I may tonight, very quickly, what really is at stake and how it's going to change the fiscal future of the country, our destiny as a nation. Because this is a big deal, and we're talking about a fiscal cliff and great drama. And if we stay on the same spending path, I thought I'd show you what happens if we change it to the Boehner plan, the Obama plan. And let's start out with the do-nothing plan, because that's the plan we've got right now. The Congressional Budget Office estimates our fiscal year 2013 deficit will be, well, this $104 trillion for fiscal 2013. Okay? And here's what happens to our national debt as a result of this baseline. It's going to surge from $16.3 trillion to $17.5 trillion in 2013. Then we get out here to about 2014. It's going to be, well, it's going to be about 19.4, 20.3 trillion. 20.3 trillion if we do nothing in 2016. And by 2022, out here, it's going to be $25.8 trillion. That's if we do nothing about this spending, this runaway spending, this irresponsible government. Now let's take a look at what happens if President Obama gets tough and he gets it done. The president calling for $1.6 trillion in higher taxes. He wants $82 billion a year from that top 2%. By the way, that's the same amount of net tax hikes in the president's 2013 budget that the Senate rejected unanimously back in May. So let's assume that things can happen differently, but let's give him this whole full board load, okay? The Republican staff in the Senate Budget Committee looked at those numbers, the president's budget, and here's what that would get us. All of those new tax hikes that he's demanding so toughly and sternly and I think rather macho. A national debt by 2022, instead of 25.8, oh no, that's going to get cut down. It'll amount to $25.4 trillion if, we'll call it, Obama wins. The national media waiting for that one. That's what's going to be. It's going to be a really dramatic, you know, I ought to just trace that line, the change, and show you exactly how it changes. This is how that line changes over the course of the next 10 years, if the president wins. Unfortunately, neither party is offering a serious proposal to trim either our deficit or our debt. The Obama plan has $2 trillion in deficit reduction over the next 10 years. The Boehner plan goes for, is $2 trillion in deficit reduction. Boehner wants, he's gonna kick tail, all right? We're going to get $2.2 billion in the spending of this country. Let me rephrase that. That'll be a $2.2 trillion reduction in the total planned spending. The growth of our spending will alter, it'll be just about that line right there. We're potentially looking at the Republican plan. Well, in 2020, I guess the best way to say it is show you just how tough it is and what happens. We'll only have a deficit and a debt. A national debt under the Boehner plan, remember this is the O plan, this is the B plan, $25.2 trillion by 2022. The only difference is how we get there. Mr. Obama wants just $350 billion in entitlement cuts over the next 10 years. Mr. Boehner wants $800 billion in entitlement cuts. And we're going to see a knockdown, drag-out fight and a big dramatic negotiation. And what you and I and all of our fellow Americans are looking at is the prospect of a recession next year if the president and Mr. Boehner can't come to an agreement, as much as a 10% unemployment rate, because both this president and the Republican parties, as you can see here, are playing at the margin, and the national media is not focusing on what the reality is. They're just playing games right along with the folks in office in Washington. And this president is guilty of class warfare. For what? For that? Are you kidding me? President Obama seems to love the drama. I thought he didn't like drama. But the reality is there will be so little impact on our fiscal future. And as a nation, after all of the drama and whatever the outcome, we remain in great jeopardy because this isn't a fiscal future any of us wants.